Hello everyone, welcome back to our UGC NET Paper 1 Teaching Aptitude series. Today we are continuing Unit 1 with another very important topic, factors affecting teaching. The official syllabus mentions 6 major factors affecting teaching: teacher, learner, support material, instructional facilities, learning environment, and institution. This topic is very important for UGC NET because questions are often asked in a conceptual manner. The exam may ask, which learner characteristics help effective teaching? Or, which teacher-related factor contributes most to effective teaching? Or, what is the role of instructional material in teaching? Or, which factors create a conducive learning environment? So, our goal in this lecture is to understand the meaning of each factor, its role in the teaching learning process, and the exam-oriented keywords connected with it. Let us begin. Section 1. Meaning of factors affecting. Teaching is not an isolated activity. Teaching does not depend only on the teacher, and it does not depend only on the learner. Effective teaching is the result of many factors working together. A teacher may be highly knowledgeable, but if the learners are not motivated, teaching becomes difficult. Learners may be interested, but if there is no proper classroom, no library, no laboratory, no internet, no teaching aids, and no institutional support, learning becomes limited. Support material may be excellent, but if the teacher does not know how to use it, it may not help. The institution may have good facilities, but if the learning environment is full of fear, noise, overcrowding, or discrimination, effective teaching will not happen. So when we say factors affecting teaching, we mean all those conditions, resources, persons, behaviors, and environmental elements that influence the quality of teaching and learning. In UGC NET, remember this point clearly. Teaching effectiveness is multifactorial. It depends on the teacher, learner, material, facilities, environment, and institutional system. Section 2. Teaching as a 3-phase process. Before discussing the 6 factors separately, let us understand teaching as a process. According to the teaching process discussed in the uploaded material, teaching can be understood in 3 phases: pre-active phase, interactive phase, and post-active phase. The pre-active phase is the planning stage. Before entering the classroom, the teacher fixes goals, decides content, selects teaching strategies, arranges material, and plans how the lesson will be presented. The interactive phase is the actual classroom stage. Here the teacher interacts with learners, presents content, asks questions, uses teaching aids, gives examples, manages the class, and provides feedback. The post-active phase is the evaluation and improvement stage. After teaching, the teacher assesses whether objectives were achieved, whether students understood, whether reteaching is needed, whether the support material was suitable, and whether the classroom environment helped learning. This 3-phase model is important because all factors affecting teaching operate in these phases. Teacher knowledge is important in all 3 phases. Learner motivation is important during interaction. Support material is selected before teaching and used during teaching. Instructional facilities support the actual teaching process. Learning environment affects classroom interaction. Institutional support affects the entire teaching system. So, always remember, teaching is not only what happens during the lecture. Teaching includes planning, classroom interaction, evaluation, and improvement. Section 3. Teacher-related factors. Now let us discuss the first and most visible factor, the teacher. A teacher is not merely a person who speaks in the classroom. A teacher is a planner, communicator, motivator, evaluator, guide, facilitator, and reflective practitioner. The effectiveness of teaching depends heavily on the teacher's knowledge, skills, attitude, communication, planning, personality, fairness, and ability to understand learners. 3.1 Subject knowledge. The first teacher-related factor is command over the subject. A teacher must know the subject deeply. Without subject knowledge, teaching becomes superficial. Students may ask doubts, give examples, challenge ideas, or connect the topic with other subjects. If the teacher does not have command over the subject, he or she may lose confidence and clarity. For example, if a teacher is teaching levels of teaching, The teacher should not merely say memory level, understanding level, and reflective level. The teacher should also explain Herbart, Morrison, Hunt wrote learning, comprehension, problem solving, and exam keywords. Subject knowledge gives confidence to the teacher and trust to the learners. However, subject knowledge alone is not enough. A person may know a subject but may not be able to teach it effectively. That is why the second factor is pedagogy. 3.2 Pedagogical knowledge. Pedagogy means the art and science of teaching. It includes knowledge of methods, strategies, principles of teaching, learning theories, classroom management, and evaluation. The uploaded material explains that teaching is a planned activity and depends on how clearly students understand what they are expected to learn and how accurately learning can be measured. A good teacher asks, what is the objective? Which method should be used? Should I lecture, discuss, demonstrate, or use a case study? Should I use examples? Should I ask questions? Should I use a diagram? How will I check learning? In higher education, pedagogy also includes andragogy because adult learners are self-directed, goal-oriented, practical, and experience-based. So, a teacher in higher education should not treat all learners as passive children. The teacher should facilitate active learning. 3.3 Communication skill teaching is deeply connected with communication. A teacher must be able to communicate clearly, logically, and meaningfully. Good communication includes voice clarity, proper pace, correct language, meaningful examples, eye contact, gestures, pauses, and feedback. The classroom communication material states that effectiveness of classroom communication depends on teacher, student, message, instructional methods, and media and learning environment. A teacher may know the topic very well, but if the teacher uses very difficult language, speaks too fast, gives no examples, or ignores student feedback, students may not understand. Good communication means the teacher converts complex ideas into understandable form. For example, instead of saying only formative evaluation is process-oriented, the teacher may say, formative evaluation is like checking the direction while you are still traveling. It helps correct mistakes before the final destination. That is effective communication. 3.4 Lesson. Clarity. Effective teaching requires lesson clarity. The uploaded teaching material identifies lesson clarity as a key behavior of effective teaching. Ideas should be presented step by step in a simple and organized manner with minimal distractions. Advance organizers at the beginning and summaries at the end improve clarity. A clear teacher begins by saying, "Today we will study 6 factors affecting teaching. First teacher, second learner, third support material, fourth instructional facilities, fifth learning environment, and sixth institution." This gives structure to the learner's mind. At the end, the teacher summarizes, so, teacher gives direction, learner gives response, material gives support, facilities give infrastructure, environment gives atmosphere, and institution gives system. This clarity makes learning easier. 3.5 Instructional variety. A good teacher does not use only one method all the time. Instructional variety means using different tools, methods, examples, activities, questions, materials, gestures, voice modulation, and media. The material on effective teaching identifies instructional variety as a key behavior and includes the use of technology, materials, activities, space, displays, different types of questions, rewards, and reinforcers. If a teacher only speaks continuously for 1 hour, students may lose attention. But if the teacher uses examples, questions, short activities, diagrams, comparison tables, and recap points, learners remain engaged. Variety is especially important because learners have individual differences. Some learn by listening, some by seeing, some by doing, and some by discussion. 3.6 Teacher Task Orientation. Teacher task orientation means the teacher uses classroom time effectively. A good teacher is prepared, starts on time, handles interruptions quickly, distributes material properly, prevents distractions, and keeps the class focused. This factor is important in UGC NET because effective teaching is not only about knowledge, it is also about organization. For example, suppose a teacher spends 15 minutes trying to connect a projector, 10 minutes searching for notes, and 10 minutes dealing with avoidable disturbance. Then the learning time is reduced. A task-oriented teacher prepares before class and maximizes actual learning time. 3.7 Teacher's Attitude and Enthusiasm. The attitude of the teacher affects the attitude of students. If the teacher is enthusiastic, learners feel energy. If the teacher is dull and uninterested, students also lose interest. Teacher effect, including enthusiasm, voice variation, eye contact, gestures, and warmth, is mentioned as a helpful behavior in effective teaching. A teacher should show that the subject matters. For example, while teaching aptitude, the teacher may say, "This topic is not only for the exam. If you become an assistant professor, these factors will shape your actual classroom." Such enthusiasm creates relevance. 3.8 Fairness and Objectivity. A teacher should be objective and unbiased. The classroom communication material clearly states that a teacher should treat students equally and should not give preferences on the basis of sex, caste, or creed. Bias damages teaching. If students feel that the teacher favors only some learners, the classroom climate becomes negative. A fair teacher gives equal opportunity, listens to different students, respects diverse backgrounds, and evaluates objectively. 3.9 Understanding learners. A teacher must understand learners. The communication principles for teachers mention that a teacher should collect information about learners' previous knowledge, learning styles, cognitive styles, motivation, and interests. The teacher should accept that no two individuals are alike. This is a very important point for NET. A teacher who understands learners can adjust examples, pace, method, and evaluation. A teacher who ignores learner characteristics may teach only according to personal convenience. 3.10 Teachers' Expectations. Teacher expectations also influence learning. If the teacher believes that students can learn, students often become more confident. If the teacher has very low expectations, students may lose motivation. In exam-oriented terms, low teacher expectation from students can adversely affect academic performance. A teacher should have realistic but positive expectations. 3.11 Feedback and Reinforcement. Teaching improves when feedback is given. Feedback tells the learner what is correct, what is incorrect, and how to improve. Reinforcement encourages desired behavior. The principles of teaching in the uploaded material include motivation, interest, activity, linking learning with life, recognizing individual differences, planning, revision, sympathy, cooperation, reinforcement, and remedial teaching. A teacher should not only say wrong. A better feedback is, your definition is correct, but you need to add one example. This kind of feedback improves learning. 3.12 Teacher as reflective practitioner. A teacher should reflect after every class. What worked? What did not work? Did students understand? Was the method suitable? Was the material effective? Do I need to reteach? This connects with the post-active phase of teaching. In the post-active phase, the teacher assesses objectives, reteaching needs, suitability of instructional material, and impact of classroom environment. So, teacher-related factors include subject knowledge, pedagogy, communication, clarity, variety, fairness, motivation, feedback, planning, and reflection. Section 4. Learner-related factors. Now let us discuss the second major factor, the learner. Teaching cannot be effective unless the teacher understands learners. Learners differ in ability, motivation, previous knowledge, attitude, age, maturity, learning style, language, socioeconomic background, emotional state, and interest. 4.1 Previous knowledge. Previous knowledge is one of the most important learner-related factors. If students already know basic concepts, the teacher can move quickly to higher concepts. If students lack foundation, the teacher must begin from basics. For example, before teaching reflective level of teaching, students should know what teaching means and what memory level and understanding level are. If the teacher ignores previous knowledge, students may feel lost. This is why good teaching begins with questions like, what do you already know about this topic? Can anyone define teaching? Have you heard about Bloom's taxonomy? 4.2. Mental ability level learners differ in mental ability. Some learners understand quickly, others need more examples and repetition. Some are strong in analytical thinking, others are strong in memory. Some are good in language, others are better in visual or practical learning. The teaching aptitude material mentions that learner characteristics helping effective teaching include mental ability level, previous experiences, interest, and other learner-related variables. A teacher should not assume that all students learn at the same speed. 4.3. Motivation and interest. Motivation is the driving force behind learning. A motivated learner listens, asks questions, revises, and applies knowledge. An unmotivated learner may be physically present but mentally absent. Interest is also important. If students find the topic meaningful, they learn better. For example, in UGC NET preparation, if the teacher says, "This topic is frequently asked in paper 1, students become alert. If the teacher says, "This topic will also help you in real teaching," students see practical value. The uploaded learner material mentions motivational climate and says that students must see the worth of the work they are doing. Value and effort are two main methods for creating motivational climate. So the teacher should create value. Why is this topic important? How will it help in the exam? How will it help in teaching? 4.4. Attitude toward the subject. Learner's attitude affects learning. Some students like theory, some fear statistics, some enjoy research, some dislike communication. These attitudes influence attention and performance. A teacher should try to change negative attitudes through simple explanation, examples, encouragement, and success experiences. For example, many students fear logical reasoning. A good teacher begins with simple examples and gradually increases difficulty. This changes fear into confidence. 4.5. Age and maturity. Age and maturity influence teaching. Adolescent learners need guidance, structure, and emotional support. Adult learners need respect, relevance, autonomy, and application. The adult learner material explains that adults are self-directed, experience-rich, practical, goal-oriented, relevance-oriented, and internally motivated. So a teacher must adjust teaching according to age and maturity level. A school student may require more direct instruction. A postgraduate student may require discussion, critical thinking, project work, and research-based learning. 4.6. Learning styles and cognitive styles. Learners differ in learning styles. Some learners are visual and learn through diagrams, charts, and flowcharts. Some are auditory and learn through explanation and discussion. Some are motor or kinesthetic and learn by doing. Some learners are field independent. They prefer independent analytical learning. Some are field dependent. They prefer social context, group learning, and examples. This means a teacher should use variety. One method cannot serve all learners. 4.7. Self-efficacy and confidence. Self-efficacy means belief in one's ability to succeed. A learner with high self-efficacy says, "This topic is difficult, but I can learn it." A learner with low self-efficacy says, "I cannot do this." Low self-efficacy adversely affects academic performance. Therefore, teachers should build confidence through small successes, feedback, and encouragement. 4.8. Socioeconomic and cultural background learners come from different backgrounds. Some have access to books, internet, coaching, and family support. Others may have limited resources. Some are fluent in English. Others may understand better through bilingual explanation. Some have urban exposure. Others may have rural background. A good teacher respects these differences and does not humiliate learners. Equal teaching does not always mean identical teaching. Sometimes equity requires additional support for those who need it. 4.9. Emotional state and health. A learner's emotional state affects attention and learning. An anxious learner may not perform well even after studying. A tired, hungry, or stressed learner may not concentrate. A learner facing family or financial problems may need counseling and support, so teachers should create a supportive environment. 4.10 Learner participation. Teaching becomes more effective when learners participate. Participation may include answering questions, asking doubts, group discussion, presentation, writing, solving problems, or peer teaching. The effective teaching material identifies engagement in the learning process as a key behavior. Students should be actively involved in seat work, group work, and independent work. A passive class may listen but not learn deeply. An engaged class learns actively. So, learner-related factors include previous knowledge, ability, motivation, interest, attitude, age, maturity, self-efficacy, emotional condition, background, learning style, and participation. Section 5. Support material-related factors. Now let us move to the third factor, support material. Support material means the learning resources used to support teaching. These may include textbooks, notes, handouts, slides, diagrams, charts, models, maps, videos, audio clips, worksheets, question banks, case studies, e-content, and online resources. Support material is important because it makes teaching more concrete, organized, and understandable. 5.1 Meaning of support material. Support material is not the same as the teacher. It supports the teacher. For example, while teaching levels of teaching, a teacher may use a comparison chart of memory, understanding, and reflective levels. This chart becomes support material. While teaching communication, the teacher may use a diagram of sender, message, channel, receiver, and feedback. While teaching research methods, the teacher may use a table comparing experimental, descriptive, and historical research. Such material helps learners understand faster. 5.2 Relevance to objectives. Support material should be relevant to teaching objectives. If the objective is to explain a concept, a diagram may help. If the objective is to develop skill, demonstration or practice material is needed. If the objective is critical thinking, case studies or problem situations are better. Material should not be used only for decoration. It should serve a learning purpose. 5.3 Accuracy and authenticity. Support material must be accurate and updated. Wrong diagrams, outdated data, incorrect definitions, and poor quality notes can mislead learners. For UGC NET, the teacher should use material aligned with the official syllabus and reliable sources. 5.4 Proper sequencing. Support material should be properly sequenced. The message design principles in the classroom communication material mention that content should be organized from simple to complex, easy to difficult, concrete to abstract, known to unknown, and observation to reasoning. For example, while teaching learner characteristics, the teacher should first explain meaning, then adolescent learners, then adult learners, then individual differences, and then teaching implications. This sequence helps learners build understanding. 5.5 Language and readability. Support material should use learner-friendly language. If slides are full of complex terms, students may copy without understanding. If notes are too long and unstructured, revision becomes difficult. Good material should be clear, concise, readable, and structured. 5.6 Examples and non-examples. Good support material includes examples and non-examples. For example, while teaching memory level, the teacher can give an example. Name the 3 levels of teaching. This is memory level. A non-example would be design a strategy for teaching slow learners. This is not memory level, it is reflective level. Examples help students understand boundaries of concepts. 5.7 Visual and audio-visual support. Audiovisual material is very useful because learners can see and hear simultaneously. The uploaded material states that audiovisual instructional facilities help in completing the triangular process of learning, motivation, clarification, and stimulation. Charts, models, maps, pictures, videos, animations, and demonstrations can make abstract concepts concrete. For example, classroom communication becomes easier when shown through a flowchart. 5.8 E-content and ICT material. Today, support material may also include digital resources, e-books, PDFs, recorded lectures, online quizzes, LMS content, SWAYAM videos, MOOCs, and digital libraries. ICT-based teaching support facilitates and enhances learning through computer and communication technologies, including internet, email, websites, CD-ROMs, digital television, mobile phones, and online learning. Digital material gives flexibility in time, place, and pace, but it must be well designed and accessible. 5.9 Integration with teaching support material should be integrated into teaching. The communication material states that media should not be used in isolation. For example, if a video is used at the end of a lesson, it should be followed by discussion or quick assessment. This is an important exam point. A teacher should not simply play a video and leave. The teacher should introduce it, connect it with the topic, ask questions, and summarize learning. 5.10 Quality of material. Good support material should be visible, legible, clear, attractive, accurate, and appropriate. A chart with very small handwriting will not help. A slide with too much text will confuse. A video with poor sound will distract. A model that is inaccurate will mislead. So, support material affects teaching positively only when it is relevant, clear, accurate, and properly used. Section 6. Instructional facilities related factors. Now let us discuss instructional facilities. Support material and instructional facilities are related, but they are not exactly the same. Support material refers to learning content and resources. Instructional facilities refer to the physical, technological, and academic facilities that make teaching possible or effective. Examples include classrooms, furniture, blackboard, whiteboard, smartboard, LCD projector, computer, internet, laboratory, library, language lab, audio system, seating arrangement, electricity, ventilation, and learning management systems. 6.1 Classroom facilities. The basic facility is the classroom. A classroom should have proper seating, board, lighting, ventilation, space, and cleanliness. If students cannot see the board, cannot hear the teacher, feel suffocated, or sit uncomfortably, teaching suffers. 6.2 Board and display facilities. The board is still one of the most important instructional facilities. Whether it is a blackboard, greenboard, whiteboard, or smartboard, it helps the teacher organize content visually. A good teacher uses the board systematically: headings, key points, diagrams, flowcharts, and summary. 6.3 Projector and smart classroom LCD projectors, smartboards, and presentation systems help in showing diagrams, videos, animations, data, and images, but technology should support teaching, not replace teaching. A poor teacher with a projector is still a poor teacher. A good teacher can teach even with a board, but technology can make teaching richer when used properly. 6.4 Laboratory facilities. For science, technology, language, psychology, geography, and many practical subjects, laboratories are essential. Experiments connect theory with practice. The uploaded material mentions experimentation as an activity instructional facility, especially useful in science subjects to relate theory with practice. Without laboratories, learners may memorize concepts, but fail to develop practical understanding. 6.5 Library facilities. A library supports independent learning. In higher education, the library is extremely important because students must read beyond classroom notes. A good institution provides textbooks, reference books, journals, e-resources, previous year papers, and digital databases. A teacher may inspire learning, but a library sustains learning. 6.6 ICT and Internet facilities. Internet access, computers, learning platforms, and digital tools have become important in modern teaching. ICT enables flexible learning, online learning, collaborative learning, distance learning, and access to multimedia resources. However, ICT facilities must be reliable. If internet is slow, projector is not working, or teachers are not trained, ICT becomes a barrier instead of support. 6.7 Language laboratory. A language laboratory is useful for listening and speaking practice. The uploaded material says that a language laboratory supports self-learning, helps learners hear recorded language, practice speaking, develop pronunciation, intonation, and accent, and recognizes individual differences in language aptitude. This is especially important in language teaching and communication training. 6.8 Field trips and real-life exposure. Instructional facilities are not limited to classrooms. Field trips provide exposure to real people, events, and environments. The uploaded material describes field trips as structured activities outside the classroom, helping students connect with real people and events. For example, students of education may visit schools, students of geography may visit field sites, and students of commerce may visit industries. 6.9 Availability and cost. Instructional facilities should be available, functional, and cost-effective. The teaching aptitude material notes that effective instructional facilities need not always be costly. Availability of facilities, relative cost, and suitability matter. A simple chart used properly may be more effective than an expensive smartboard used poorly. 6.10 Teacher training for facilities. Facilities are useful only when teachers know how to use them. A smartboard does not automatically improve teaching. A laboratory does not automatically improve understanding. A library does not automatically produce reading habits. The teacher must integrate facilities with objectives, methods, and evaluation. So, instructional facilities affect teaching through availability, quality, suitability, maintenance, accessibility, and teacher competence. Section 7 Learning Environment Related Factors. Now we come to one of the most important factors, learning environment. Learning environment means the physical, psychological, social, and academic atmosphere in which teaching and learning take place. A good learning environment encourages attention, participation, curiosity, cooperation, confidence, and discipline. A poor learning environment creates fear, distraction, passivity, anxiety, and indiscipline. Physical environment. The physical environment includes class size, seating arrangement, lighting, ventilation, noise level, cleanliness, and comfort. The communication material says that classes should not be overcrowded, seating should allow interaction, furniture should be comfortable, and proper lighting and ventilation should be ensured. Overcrowding is a major problem. In a very large class, it becomes difficult to give individual attention. Students at the back may not hear properly. Interaction reduces, and discipline becomes harder, so physical environment directly affects teaching. To psychological environment, a classroom should be psychologically safe. Students should not fear asking questions. They should not fear being insulted. They should not feel that mistakes are shameful. The learning environment material says that teachers should provide a non-threatening environment and avoid unnecessary anxiety by giving prior information about tests, assignments, and activities. A non-threatening environment does not mean there is no discipline. It means discipline is based on respect, not fear. 3. Rapport. With students, rapport means a positive relationship between teacher and students. The uploaded material says that a teacher should build rapport, know students, be friendly, respect individuality, and have a positive attitude towards students. When students trust the teacher, they participate more. When they fear the teacher, they remain silent. A teacher can build rapport by learning student names, listening patiently, encouraging effort, and avoiding humiliation. 7.4 Cooperation and healthy competition. A good learning environment includes cooperation and healthy competition. The material suggests encouraging cooperation and healthy competition through group activities and pairing bright students with average or weaker students. Competition becomes unhealthy when it creates jealousy, fear, or humiliation. It becomes healthy when it motivates improvement. Cooperation helps peer learning. Students often understand from peers in simple language. 7.5 Feedback mechanism. A classroom should have two-way feedback. Students should receive feedback from the teacher, and the teacher should also receive feedback from students. If students look confused, the teacher should slow down. If students answer well, the teacher can move ahead. If students make repeated errors, the teacher should reteach. Feedback makes teaching adaptive. A 7.6 reinforcement means strengthening desired learning behavior through praise, appreciation, reward, or recognition. The learning environment material mentions praise, appreciation, rewards, and social recognition as reinforcement. For example, when a student gives a good example, the teacher may say, "Excellent example." This shows reflective thinking. Such reinforcement encourages participation. 7.7 Encouraging creativity and experimentation. A good learning environment encourages experimentation with ideas. Students should be allowed to think, question, compare, and propose solutions. The material says creativity should be encouraged rather than curbed, and problems with more than one solution should be posed in class. This connects with reflective level of teaching. 7.8 Managing noise and distraction. Noise is a barrier to communication and learning. Noise may be physical, such as traffic sound or poor lighting, physiological, such as hunger or fatigue, psychological, such as anxiety or prejudice, or semantic, such as difficult words and jargon. A teacher should reduce avoidable noise, speak clearly, use simple language, manage classroom behavior, and ensure suitable seating. 7.9 Inclusive environment. A good learning environment is inclusive. It respects gender, caste, class, language, disability, culture, and learning differences. An inclusive environment ensures that no learner feels invisible. A teacher should ask, can all students see? Can all hear? Can all participate? Are examples culturally sensitive? Are slow learners supported? Are advanced learners challenged? 7.10 Motivational climate. A motivational climate is one where learners feel that their effort matters. The teacher should show the value of tasks and appreciate effort. For example, this topic may look theoretical, but it is directly useful for your exam and for future classroom teaching. When learners see purpose, motivation increases. Section 8. Institution-related factors. Now let us discuss the final factor, institution. An institution is not only a building, it is a system. It includes policies, administration, culture, curriculum, timetable, resources, leadership, evaluation system, teacher support, student support, and academic values. Even a good teacher may struggle in a weak institution. A supportive institution can improve teaching quality. 8.1 Institutional vision and mission. Every institution should have a clear vision and mission. A strong institution asks, what kind of learners do we want to develop? What values do we promote? What learning outcomes do we expect? How do we support teachers and students? If the institution has no direction, teaching becomes routine and mechanical. 8.2 Curriculum and syllabus. Institutional curriculum affects teaching. If curriculum is updated, outcome-based and relevant, teaching becomes meaningful. If curriculum is outdated and overloaded, teachers and learners struggle. A teacher can use good methods, but curriculum quality also matters. 8.3 Timetable and academic planning timetable affects teaching. If classes are scheduled properly, teachers and students can work effectively. If the timetable is overloaded, poorly arranged, or frequently disrupted, learning suffers. Academic planning includes semester plan, lesson plan, examination schedule, assignments, tutorials, seminars, and remedial classes. 8.4 Teacher-student ratio. Teacher-student ratio is a major institutional factor. If one teacher has too many students, individual attention becomes difficult, feedback becomes delayed, classroom management becomes harder. This connects with the learning environment point that overcrowded classes reduce effective teaching. 8.5 Administrative support. Institutional administration should support teaching. Teachers need classrooms, equipment, timetable, attendance systems, examination support, library support, and technical help. If administration is disorganized, teachers waste time solving non-teaching problems. 8.6 Professional development. A good institution provides opportunities for teacher development. Teachers need workshops, faculty development programs, seminars, ICT training, research support, and peer learning. Teaching improves when teachers keep learning. 8.7 Infrastructure and resources. Institutional infrastructure includes classrooms, laboratories, library, computer center, internet, hostel, counseling center, and accessibility facilities. These resources directly support teaching and learning. An institution with poor infrastructure may still have dedicated teachers, but teaching quality becomes limited. 8.8 Evaluation System. The institution's evaluation system affects teaching behavior. If exams test only memory, teaching may become rote-based. If evaluation includes application, analysis, projects, presentations, and continuous assessment, teaching becomes deeper. The uploaded material on evaluation states that evaluation helps diagnose learner weaknesses, test achievement, provide feedback, guide learners, facilitate planning, and support remediation. So, institutional evaluation policy shapes classroom teaching. 8.9 Academic culture. Institutional culture is very important. If the culture values punctuality, reading, research, discussion, and ethics, teaching improves. If the culture accepts absenteeism, shortcuts, poor discipline, and rote learning, teaching declines. Academic culture influences both teacher and learner. 8.10 Student support services. Institutions should provide student support services such as counseling, mentoring, scholarships, remedial classes, career guidance, placement support, and disability support. Many learners fail not because they cannot learn, but because they lack support. 8.11 Institutional use of ICT. Modern institutions must support ICT-based teaching. This includes internet, LMS, digital content, online classes, smart classrooms, e-library, and technical training. ICT-based teaching can provide flexibility in time, place, and pace, and can support distance learning and multimedia learning. However, ICT must be supported by training, maintenance, and accessibility. 8.12 Institutional discipline and freedom. A good institution balances discipline and academic freedom. Too much control kills creativity. Too much freedom without responsibility creates chaos. A healthy institution gives teachers autonomy and learners responsibility, so institution-related factors include vision, curriculum, timetable, teacher-student ratio, infrastructure, administration, professional development, evaluation system, academic culture, student support, and ICT facilities. Section 9. Interrelationship among all factors. Now let us understand an important point. These 6 factors are not separate boxes. They are interconnected. Teacher and learner interact directly. Support material helps the teacher explain and helps the learner understand. Instructional facilities allow support material to be used effectively. Learning environment determines whether interaction becomes active or passive. Institution provides the system within which all these operate. Let us take one example. Suppose a teacher is teaching Bloom's taxonomy. If the teacher has good subject knowledge, that is a teacher factor. If learners already know basic objectives of teaching, that is a learner factor. If the teacher uses a pyramid chart of Bloom's taxonomy, that is support material. If the classroom has a projector or board, that is instructional facility. If students feel free to ask doubts, that is learning environment. If the institution provides time, syllabus structure, library, and evaluation support, that is institutional factor. When all these factors work together, teaching becomes effective. Section 10. Exam-oriented differentiation. Now let us make a clear exam-oriented distinction. Teacher-related factors include subject knowledge, teaching skill, communication skill, attitude, planning, fairness, motivation, feedback, classroom management, and use of methods. Learner-related factors include previous knowledge, mental ability, motivation, interest, attitude, self-efficacy, maturity, learning style, socio-economic background, emotional state, and participation. Support material-related factors include textbooks, notes, slides, charts, diagrams, models, videos, handouts, e-content, examples, exercises, and question banks. Instructional facilities related factors include classroom, board, projector, computer, internet, laboratory, library, language lab, audio system, seating, lighting, and ventilation. Learning environment related factors include class size, seating arrangement, rapport, cooperation, healthy competition, feedback, reinforcement, non-threatening atmosphere, inclusion, and motivation. Institution-related factors include curriculum, administration, infrastructure, timetable, teacher-student ratio, evaluation system, professional development, academic culture, student support, and governance. A useful memory formula is TLSILI, teacher, learner, support material, instructional facilities, learning environment, and institution. To remember the meaning, use this sentence. Teacher directs, learner responds, support material clarifies, instructional facilities enable, learning environment motivates, and institution organizes. Section 11. Common UGC NET traps. Let us now discuss some common traps and questions. First, teachers' subject knowledge is a real factor affecting teaching. But teachers' socio-economic background is generally not considered a direct factor of teaching effectiveness. Second, teachers' ability to please students is not the same as effective teaching. A teacher should have rapport and warmth, but teaching is not about pleasing students. Third, personal contact with students should not be confused with professional rapport. A teacher should build a respectful teacher-learner relationship, not personal favoritism. Fourth, learners' mental ability, previous experience, interest, and motivation are important learner characteristics. Fifth, support material must be relevant and integrated with teaching. Simply having material is not enough. Sixth, instructional facilities must be functional and suitable. A projector that does not work is not an effective facility. Seventh, a learning environment should be non-threatening. Fear may produce silence, but it does not produce deep learning. Eighth, institutional support matters. A teacher cannot alone overcome every structural limitation. Section 12. Practical classroom. Example. Let us imagine two classrooms. In the first classroom, the teacher is knowledgeable but speaks in a monotonous tone. There is no planning. Slides are overcrowded. Students are not asked questions. The room is noisy. The projector fails. The class is overcrowded. The institution has no proper timetable or feedback system. Here, teaching will be weak because many factors are negative. Now imagine the second classroom. The teacher has subject knowledge and clear objectives. The teacher begins with previous knowledge, uses a diagram, gives examples, asks questions, provides feedback, uses the board properly, encourages discussion, and summarizes the lesson. The classroom is clean, well lit, properly seated, and non-threatening. The institution provides library, internet, timetable, evaluation support, and academic culture. Here, teaching becomes effective because the factors support one another. This is why UGC NET asks this topic. It wants future teachers to understand that teaching is a professional, planned, and systemic process. Section 13. Quick revision for exam. Let us revise the topic quickly. Teaching is affected by multiple factors. The teacher affects teaching through subject knowledge, pedagogy, communication, planning, clarity, fairness, feedback, motivation, and classroom management. The learner affects teaching through prior knowledge, mental ability, motivation, interest, maturity, learning style, self-efficacy, emotional state, and participation. Support material affects teaching through relevance, accuracy, sequencing, readability, examples, diagrams, models, audiovisual aids, and e-content. Instructional facilities affect teaching through classroom, board, projector, laboratory, library, internet, language lab, seating, lighting, ventilation, and equipment. Learning environment affects teaching through physical comfort, psychological safety, rapport, cooperation, feedback, reinforcement, creativity, inclusion, and non-threatening atmosphere. Institution affects teaching through curriculum, governance, infrastructure, timetable, teacher-student ratio, professional development, evaluation system, academic culture, and student support. Remember, effective teaching is not teacher only. It is system supported, learner sensitive, and environment dependent. Section 14. So students, this completes our detailed lecture on factors affecting teaching. The most important idea from today's lecture is this. Teaching is influenced by the complete teaching-learning situation. A teacher may be central, but the teacher alone is not the whole system. Learners, materials, facilities, environment, and institution all shape the final learning outcome. For UGC NET Paper 1, focus on keywords. If the question mentions subject knowledge, communication, planning, or feedback, think of teacher-related factors. If it mentions previous knowledge, motivation, mental ability, interest, or self-efficacy, think of learner-related factors. If it mentions charts, models, handouts, slides, videos, or textbooks, think of support material. If it mentions classroom, board, projector, library, lab, internet, or seating, think of instructional facilities. If it mentions rapport, cooperation, reinforcement, non-threatening atmosphere, or class size, think of learning environment. If it mentions curriculum, administration, timetable, infrastructure, evaluation policy, or teacher-student ratio, think of institution. In the next lecture, we will continue Unit 1 with methods of teaching in institutions of higher learning, including teacher-centered versus learner-centered methods, and offline versus online methods such as Swayam, Swayamprabha, and MOOCs. Thank you for watching. Keep revising and keep practicing.